welcome to the program 7 Politics today with Austin Beatrice Saddam. Today, we're going to be looking at youth participation in the 2023 election and other issues that we're going to be tabling here today. According to the data released by INEC, about 12.2 million young Nigerians have registered. Of course, it means that the youth are having a larger chunk in the voter population ahead of the 2023 general election. But there are issues of concern, right? And these are the issues we're going to be looking at today, considering also the data released by the Bureau of Statistics of the inflation rate rising to 19.64%. And this also raises concern among young people, considering the fact that young people also have been on strike, we're battling with the issue of insecurity, and then the issue of unemployment. And then one will begin to wonder, what are the things that will be going in the mind of these young people while going to the poll to cast their vote? So these are the issues we're going to be discussing today ahead of, among other issues. Let's go on a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll table the... It's all about you. All right, welcome back for the break. Thanks for staying with us. So today we're going to be looking at youth participation in politics. Joining me to discuss all of these issues today is my colleague. We're going to be analyzing this issue together to let the people know, to kind of a sensitization of what the Nigerian young people should know. How ready should they be ahead of the election? What are some of the things that they should do? Because we need to get things straight as long as the 2023 general election is concerned. So joining me to discuss all of this today is my colleague, Mr. John Manuel. John Manuel, thanks for joining me in the program today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show today.
All right. You saw, of course, the data released by INEC, 12.2 million Nigerians, young people, of course, among other figures, because the percentage we receive about 71% of the voting population. And then we also saw the data released by Bureau of Statistics that the inflation price has risen up to about 19.64%. So these are raising, I think for me, this is raising a lot of issues. You know, young people have been on strike for almost 6 months now. Also have been on strike for 6 months now. We're talking about the issue of unemployment. We're talking about the issue of security that have bedeviled the country. What are some, because as long as the election is concerned, this 2023 election is concerned, you cannot do it with young people. They have the larger population vote. What should we get straight? What are the things that, of course, we represent a fraction of young people. What are some of the topmost priority in the mind of young people as long as this election is concerned, going to the poll? Let me get your take on that before I chip in on what
I think that it's been quite an interesting ride, this political era. We have seen certain issues that used to be rife among the youths. You know, most especially talking about voter apathy, the fact that most youths used to be disinterested, you know, in most of these election nearing processes, and you know, casting their votes and all of that. Youths used to want to previously do things that were more youthful, you know, and feel like politics was a game for the older generation and all of that. But I think that the current and maybe the just immediate past administrations have shown them that apathy or trying to wish away certain things is not the way to go, and it's not going to work, because they are also faced with these challenges, the pangs and the pains of a failed economy or a failing economy.
So it is like saying, if you leave this thing, you will suffer.
They are actually also suffering. They are actually also suffering. And I think they came to realize it, because if we looked at what happened prior to the whole NSAS thing, that kind of opened their eyes, or our eyes, because I would say I'm speaking for us youths, that kind of opened our eyes to certain problems that are latent. And if you remember, the NSAS protest was more than just police brutality. It was them coming to say that we understand all of these things. We have been seeing them, but we were silent before. Now we have decided to be active in this space. And I think that that is what has birthed the new, I choose to call this the new Nigeria, because there is a new wave of youth that's actually coming into awareness of what is going on in the political sphere and space of the country, you know. So yes, I think that what's foremost on the mind, or what should be foremost, because right here, right now, I'm not coming here to say these are the kind of candidates that you should vote. Everybody feels, I want to believe that right now, riding on the back of the NSAS period, the whole thing that happened, everybody felt the pain, you know. So I think that people have been able to come up with a mental picture of whom they feel would be the best candidate for them, right? So what they should look at now is, you look at each candidate and what they represent for the nation in general, what they represent for you as a youth. Because I choose to think that this same thing of, you know, having youth in politics and carrying them along, it has a lot to do, you know, with actually shaping or forming what the next generation is going to look like. So yes, look for a person, look for a candidate who's willing to, you know, have you in his government, have the youth in his government, not just a government for a select category of people, you know, a brown envelope government where money just circulates around a few people and policies go down to the rest of the other people. So yes, the foremost problem people have come to, when there is insecurity, when there is kidnapping and all of that, they don't say let's leave the young people from age 13 and so
because
it's affecting everybody. The inflation is affecting everybody. You cannot purchase certain things, you cannot afford some things that were luxury to you before.
So it doesn't look like, trying to get what you're saying right now, it's not like let's go and vote as usual. You know, this time is going with a sense of consciousness.
Yeah.
You're going that you want a change.
Yeah.
You're going not just as an ordinary, as an electorate, just
beyond tribal lines.
Beyond doing your franchise, beyond doing your voters going to vote because it's your right.
Yes.
This time around, the youth are going with a pragmatic and conscious effort.
Beyond tribal lines, beyond ethnic and religious lines. You need to look out for what works and what candidate represents Nigeria. Because I think one of the biggest problems, and it is one of the worst ways that Nigeria has actually fallen to the tools that has been used to bring Nigeria to become one of the most divisive countries in the world, is the issue of ethnicity and religion and all of those things. And it works well for the politicians, but doesn't work well at all for us. So you look beyond those things. You look beyond ethnicity. You look beyond tribal lines. You look beyond regional affiliations and look for somebody who represents a new Nigeria.
Okay, that brings me talking about tribe and tribal whatever. Bring it in tribe, religion, and you know, recently, I think for me the focus, I would say, and that is also an insinuation expressed by some quarter, saying that the youth are not. Are looking more on trivial issues, of course, tagging religion, tribe, and other issues as trivial issues. That the youth should begin to look out for who can do this job, and not just the politicians coming to tell you, "I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this." But I think the root. Well, let me put it like a question: are they asking the right questions? Aside from, okay, you know, this euphorism. That's it, because what is happening right now, some older people have tagged it as euphorism, that the youth are going with a wave of euphorism for a particular candidate or for whatever candidate of their choice. But are they asking the right questions? If a politician is coming to tell you, I'm putting up strategy, okay, I'm going to do this, are the youth asking the question of how are you going to do it? What strategy, what policy are you bringing? What are the youth really asking the right questions?
Well,
or
I
is
feel
a wave of euphorism?
I feel whether you call it a wave of euphorism or whatever, it just represents the choice of the people. They choose to go for whom they want to go for based on reasons that are best to them.
Let me draw your attention to 2015, Mr. John. You see, in 2015, the current incumbent administration came on board in 2015. And if you look at the wave then, it was a wave going towards a change mantra.
Yeah.
The mantra was changed, you understand? And then it was the mandate of the people. Is it the same thing that is going to play out in 2023, or there are practical things? Because people want to see practical things that these guys have shown that they want to do to tackle the issues that we're having in place.
I feel like it's a little lopsided.
Okay.
Because I want to, and I don't know why we stopped this in this country, where you have political candidates, political aspirants stand in front of a people, stand in front of national television to tell the world, to give their manifesto, to say this is what I intend to do. Debate, talk. You know, we have a few candidates or some candidates going around the country, you know, being more vocal than some other candidates, you know, and I feel like we should have, you know, we should call for accountability. Requires that we ask, like you said, the right kind of questions, and in those questions we ask it across board. When you ask a question to one candidate, everybody should have an answer. If it is about insecurity, right? If it's a problem of insecurity, how do you intend to solve the insecurity issue? If it's inflation, how do you intend to solve it? We need to know, we need to understand. But yes, I feel like So
do you think the youth are asking the right question? Because for me, like I keep saying, for me, I feel it's a wave of euphorism going about. This is the person we want. And like I mentioned earlier, I talked about trivial matters. You are bringing in the place of age. Okay, this person is of the older generation, and we need a younger person. Does it really matter? Or we should talk about what strategy are these guys bringing in place
it
to
all
ensure
matters.
that?
I believe that it all matters. The only thing I think we should do is we should dig a little deeper. We should ask a little deeper questions. But it all matters. Your age and all of that. While I feel like tribe and all of that doesn't really, the Constitution, you know, provides for such things as ethnicity, like talking about regions and politics, you know, saying that a Muslim and Muslim ticket, you know, that shouldn't really, you know, work together or function together. There should be an opportunity for all, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of religion and all of that. So if you find a group of people or a particular candidate swinging in a different direction, it calls for questions. Yes, age coming into the matter is talking about the agility and the ability of a person to actually perform and do all of those things. So yes, while we are looking at all of that, we should go a little deeper than just talking about age and tribe and religion and all of that. I think with the euphorism has a way of making people to not see the bigger picture.
Of course.
So I feel like with the euphoria, rather, they should take a pause, think to themselves, and find out what candidate best suits them. And the best way to do it is ask your candidate a question. If you're going for this particular person, we're not saying that you must vote for this person, but if this is the person you think is actually going to change the country, find out, ask that person deeper questions. And I think one very important thing is we should stop the politics of mudslinging and attacking and all of that. My party or my own line, you might not be in my camp, but we are fighting for one Nigeria, for a better Nigeria.
Issues that should be looked at ahead of the 2023 election, especially as it pertains to you. Let me ask you this question. Of course, our campaign is starting by September, just a few weeks from now. What are some of the things that the youth should be asking? What are those pertinent questions that should be asked by the youth, so that we don't go with these what I still call euphorism, and then it happens so that we don't fall back to what we're trying to run away. What are those pertinent questions that the youth should be asking? Well, from the candidate,
we are to look at extant and existing problems and challenges.
Okay.
First and foremost, each youth should acquaint themselves absolutely and adequately with what the existing problems of the country are. and ask questions along those lines. We have problems with challenges with security. We have the economic downturn. We have things like, look at the education sector, and almost every aspect of the country seems to be failing. So the question you need to ask yourself is, what Nigerian, which of these candidates is capable of actually changing this country along and across all of these lines? What's the best way to we need to know what their tactics are, what the plans are, all of these things. First and foremost, look back at previous administrations so you don't get sucked up into the whole process of people trying to sell you something that they don't actually believe in, or they just don't want to work in. Work on. I can come and a politician or a candidate can come and tell you that this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, and all of that kind of stuff. But actually, we know, or as the case actually has been in previous administrations, they go there and it becomes nothing else. So you look critically along the lines of all of the challenges that the country is facing beyond ethnicity, beyond religion. Look at this first and foremost holistically as one Nigeria.